Hey guys, today we're having a look at guitar picks. I have a bucket load of picks lined up right here, and we're looking at the age-old question, do guitar picks actually make a difference in sound? We have set up a Headrush preset that's called Jazz Up. You can find it on your Headrush gig board or Headrush pedal board anytime. I have my trusty Vineyard here. The reason we're using this is so we can compare the acoustic in the room kind of sound, and we can do everything from a jazzy sort of to everything heavier, because as you've seen in the Sonar Rock vid, this thing absolutely kills. Alright, now let's start off by playing our bassline riff, which will be played with just the fingers at the moment, and it goes a bit like this. So this is what it sounds like with the fingers. Here is a .88 nylon. .1mm nylon. .14mm nylon. .1mm plastic. .9 Delrin. .14 Delrin. .1mm celluloid. A 2mm small stubby. A 3mm big stubby. .35mm Delrin Jazz 3. Nylon Jazz 3, the small one. Recycled material Rombo pick, I think this is 2 point something millimeters. Rombo recycled materials. Right. So the same thing, now just the in the room sound. Right, so I think I can hear a difference. My belief is this: the thinner the pick and the more flexible the pick. So the thinnest, biggest pick, which is, let's go these Insta things, which would be my 0.6 Rambo or 0.7 Rambo recycled materials, sound a lot brighter to me right here this far off from the guitar. And the same is also true for thin heavy picks. So this and the smaller and thicker, the darker sounding the pick is. And I think it's a really noticeable difference, especially from the Jazz 3, which is the nylon pick, and or the nylon Jazz 3, compared to the nylon 1mm. Or turned on. And I think that's really, really something, because you'd think that this heavy thing would sort of add more attack and also more snappiness. But in, well, my experienced reality at least, it is that the big, thick picks sound full and warm even if I attack them hard. A hard and soft comparison. And now just go back to this Palmer gifted pick it's just plastic, really. So heavy. Or the thin Rambo. So yeah, we all knew that if you attacked harder, you'd get more attack and more high end. But I think it's really funny that the heavy, thick picks, no matter the size really, sound darker and warmer even. Like more, like there's more low end, low mid end energy coming off the strings. And if you think about it, it does kind of make sense, because whereas the thin pick is only like gently grazing the string and going giving you sort of half the string, which is, whereas the thick picks will sort of attack the string more fully, thus giving you more vibration, and a longer vibration is a deeper note, as we know. And so I think the higher the amplitude of the string vibration is, so the more this string moves, the more low-end content it has, which would fit all the things we're noticing here. Now, let's just, for fun, Let's use the stoner rock setting we had last time. The same sort of thing. So here, I can't really hear a difference anymore. At least not as much as on the clean sound. But maybe, just maybe, we'll hear the difference if we just compare the really thick 3mm and the, or just do the Jazz 3 nylon and the 0.88 nylon and see what happens. Alright, yeah, it does what you'd expect it after the stuff we found in the first test. It's almost like you had a presence control and you turn it up slightly. So there's more harmonics in the upper register, I believe, on the thinner picks, and a warmer, slightly rounder sound, especially on the higher notes on the thicker, smaller picks. So I guess the more rigid, the more warm and round, which makes sense because jazz players have used small, fat picks forever, and acoustic players that usually want to project farther have been using large, thin picks forever as well. So I guess the real thing that's missing right now is just a crunch tone. I'll just do the Jazz 3 and the in nylon and the 0.88 nylon because I think we've scientifically enough. So I'm not claiming at all this is at any point scientific because I know I'm strumming differently every time, even though I'm trying to keep like the same resistance to the string, and somehow that feels even stupid to try to keep the resistance to the string the same because yes, your hand will play differently on a fat pick than on a compared to a slim pick, but we'll get into that later. So just the fat Jazz 3 nylon compared to the slim 0.88 nylon on a crunch tone. Yeah, on the crunch tone, it's way more obvious that the thin 0.88 nylon pick is much brighter than the thicker, smaller Jaws 3. So let's just give it a go with the 3mm stubby, which is sort of big, and I don't know, the 1mm nylon, which is, or the .88 nylon, which would have the same sort of shape and the same size, and they're both made by Jim Dunlop. Alright, just for shits and giggles, throw in the small stubby. I think my ears are getting a bit fatigued by now to really discern those minute differences, but I think the small stubby is the warmest and darkest of them all. Then next is the biggest stubby, the big stubby, and then the .88 nylon is the brightest out of those three. I think this Rombo pick, because it's the thinnest, will have the brightest attack, and it's the largest. Yeah, it's like tons brighter than the small stubby, and I reckon it'll be even brighter than the .88 nylon. So the .88 nylon is this. So yeah, the thinnest pick is the brightest pick, the thickest pick that is also the smallest is the darkest. So what can we learn from this? Thin large picks will give a snappy, sort of heavy attack and crisp high end, and the small fat picks will give a nice, round, warm, mid-rangey sort of almost vocal sound with the same guitar and the same setups, the same everything. So we're plugging in the baritone to see, all the controls are everywhere, just to see how big of a difference this thin pick makes to like the fat, small stubby, because those were the most different sounding picks out of the lot, in my personal opinion. And we'll just see how they sound on like a choppy, attack-laden riff, which would be something like... It's a bit more difficult to hear this in the setup, as well as we had like earlier on the high fuzz setting with the Sonorox thing. Yeah, absolutely. On this punk rock sort of riff. It's absolutely the high mids are, and the way up high attack highs are like way harder and harsher with the thin pick, or more pronounced, I should say. It's not really harsh, it's just different. So is it a huge difference? I think not. Is it enough of a difference to change the way you play? The pick that you play with, that you feel great with? And in my opinion, again, I think not. Do picks sound different? Abso-fucking-lutely. Should you use a different pick on a studio recording depending on the sound you want to get? Absolutely. Especially if you're playing clean, hollow body guitar jazz or stuff like that we've heard in the beginning, where it really makes a difference. For this metal kind of choppy stuff, I don't think it makes that much of a difference, especially not in a mix, especially not because we're dealing with a high gain amp and a lot of compression that we would have from the amp. And then also the attack is already in the sound. So that, yes, how much more attack can you actually get? And the answer, I think, is sorry, I got a text message. And I think the answer there is you, at some point, it's the differences start diminishing, really. The more high frequency content you add to the signal, which what distortion actually just only is high frequency content, really. Yeah. And as we're adding more high frequency content in form of distortion, I think the differences between the picks decline rather quickly. So, yeah, let's talk about feeling on picks then, because that is the obvious part. Picks feel different. I noticed that on the chuggy chug riffs right there at the end, the thin Rombo pick, the 0.6 or whatever it is just way too flabby, and I really have no control over anything I'm playing, really. Whereas on the fat Rombo pick that I usually use because it's just the best feeling pick. Would you focus, please? This fat Rombo pick, which is, in my opinion, it's almost my favorite pick. I prefer the big stubby still, but the big stubby sound is a bit too dark for my personal taste. And I really like that the thicker Rombo picks, or the black Rombo picks in general, are made from recyclable material. And I think any company that makes picks which are essentially a throwaway product out of recyclable material rather than plastic deserves a shout out. And I like it. It just feels nice. It sounds nice. I played small stubbies for years. Like, these 2mm stubbies were the thing for ever. I played heavy sort of riffs on this pick. Mainly because the pinch harmonics are way easier on a tiny pick. I said stubby a lot, and I hear you giggling in the comments already. But yeah, what am I getting at? The thicker the pick, the farther away your thumb and your index finger are. Meaning, you're not pressing down on the pick, and you're not in this really awkward, tight position that you're in with like a really thin pick. And I personally feel that the thicker the pick, the more relaxed my hand is, and the more relaxed my hand is, the more relaxed my arm muscles are, and the faster and more controlled I can pick. And I think there is a bunch of people that will back me up on this. So, which picks do you prefer? Which picks do you prefer? Why? Do you prefer them because they sound different, or do you prefer them because they feel different? Which of the two is more important to you? Do you feel that the sound difference that a 2mm stubby pick or a nylon Jazz 3 in the small variety gives over a .88 nylon pick is so great that you just can't play with any other pick because it sounds so fantastic, or do you just like the way your pick feels and do you adjust the sound accordingly? Is your pick a sonic device in your hand or mainly a feel sort of thing? Leave it in the comments below. If you like this video, please subscribe. It helps me out tons. So if you haven't subscribed yet, because 89.6% Google Analytics tells me have still not subscribed, just hit the subscribe button. We're here pretty much every week. Leave it a thumbs up. If you'd like to support me as a person instead of the channel for whatever reason, you can do that by either adding my songs to your Spotify playlist or checking out my Bandcamp account and getting merch and songs and stuff whatever there. Or if you already own all of my merch, all of my songs, you have subscribed and you've liked and you've commented and you still want to do even more, then you still have the ability to click on the Buy Me a Coffee link down in the description and buy me a coffee, essentially. If you don't know, Buy Me a Coffee is sort of like a Patreon, except without the monthly hassle and without the extra content on an extra platform that I need to produce stuff for. It's basically, if you like what you see here or wherever I publish stuff and you'd like to further support me, then you now have the ability to do so, which is awesome, I think. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. See you next time. We'll find out what next time is in the meantime. Right, thanks. Bye. Wah!